Good morning, friends. Welcome to winter. Happy December, even though the solstice isn't for 3 weeks yet. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook. I welcome you wherever you may be this morning, whether here in our sanctuary or attending virtually. We are one congregation worshiping together. Let's all wave and say hi to the folks at home through the camera on your left. Hi! My name is Maureen Shaman, and I am happy to be your worship associate this morning with our minister and a dear friend of mine for over 40 years, the Reverend Ben Bortin. Reverend Bortin served as minister of the First UU Church of Duluth, Minnesota for 8 years, where he and I first met when I was 10 years old. And no, there was never a second UU church in Duluth. They were competing with the Lutherans and being a tad optimistic. He was also minister of the UU Church of Staten Island for 21 years, a graduate of University of California and Starr King School of Religious Leadership. He also served 12 years as membership coordinator at the UU congregation at Shelter Rock. He taught religions of the world at St. John's University, served as president of the UU United Nations office, and was a chaplain at Zucker Hillside Hospital in Queens. Currently, he serves as minister for the North Fork UU Fellowship in Jamesport, New York. He resides both in Riverhead and in Port Washington with his wife, Andrea Starr. Our Director of Religious Education is Deb Little, who is off today, and there is no religious education today, so we are happy to welcome children for the entire service. This morning, our musicians are Ron Posnack and Bethany Riddle, and Dee Dee Cook and I will join Ron for one tune. Our tech team is Linda Cortese, Rich Hall, and Rob Pond. I invite you to light a candle of joy or concern at any time during the service. I want particularly to welcome anyone who is visiting or is here with us for the first time today. We are very happy you're here and looking forward to getting to know you. Unitarian Universalism, as a living tradition, is committed to freedom of belief and oriented toward inclusion, interdependence, and justice. You can find additional information about the principles we strive to live by on our webpage. We are a congregation of seekers who have come from a variety of faith traditions, and we welcome those of all ages, abilities, and identities who are searching for a spiritual home. Please plan to join us after the service for coffee and conversation. For those who are with us online, if you sign up after the service and return to our website, you will find the link for joining our small group chats. Whether here or online, you will find some friendly folks who can answer any questions you may have or point you to someone who can. Please be sure that your devices are silenced, and as we sound the bell, allow your mind to settle and your heart to open as we enter our time of worship. Up and down the countryside, underneath a lucky sky, whistling a foolish song, I've been walking madly on. I bought into it long ago, the story of the pot of gold. But Lately in my troubled sleep, I'm haunted by another dream. I dreamed I reached the end of the journey I've been on, and all I finally find is a smiling leprechaun. And I ask a wee impatiently, tell me, have you seen a pot of gold? And he says, have you seen the rainbow? Have you seen the colors gleam and shimmer on a silent sea? Have you seen the colors shine brightly in another's eyes? Have you seen a firefly? Have you seen a lark? Have you seen the light burning in your beating heart? Have you seen the way the morning glows? Have you seen the red and green and gold? Tell me, have you seen the rainbow? I-da-diddly-diddly-o, a-diddly-diddly-ay, I-da-diddly-diddly-o, a-diddly-diddly-um, I-da-diddly-diddly-o, a-diddly-diddly-ay, I-da-diddly-diddly-o, a-diddly-diddly-um. Up and down the countryside, you can see me hurry by, passing diamonds on the road, just to find a pot of gold. I dream I reach the end of the journey I've been on, and all I finally find is a smiling leprechaun. So I ask a wee impatiently, tell me, have you seen a pot of gold? And he says, have you seen the rainbow? So I ask a wee impatiently, tell me, have you seen a pot of gold? And he says, have you seen the rainbow? One, two, three. Hi! I-da-diddly-diddly-o, a-diddly-diddly-ay, I-da-diddly-diddly-o, a-diddly-diddly-um. Sing! I-da-diddly-diddly-o, a-diddly-diddly-ay, I-da-diddly-diddly-o, a-diddly-diddly-um. I-da-diddly-diddly-o, a-diddly-diddly-ay, I-da-diddly-diddly-o, a-diddly-diddly-um. I-da-diddly-diddly-o, a-diddly-diddly-ay, I-da-diddly-diddly-o, a-diddly-diddly-um. I-da-diddly-diddly-o, a-diddly-diddly-ay, I-da-diddly-diddly-o, diddly-diddly-um. Thank you, Ron and Dee Dee. I insisted on that song. I have asked Darlene Anderson to light our chalice, except we don't have any flame anymore. As I speak these words by Vance Bass, every day brings struggle, every day brings joy. Every day brings us the opportunity to ease the struggle of another, to be the joy in another's life. May this flame remind us to carry our light to each other and to the world. Thanks, darling.
Let us look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of our existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. Yesterday was but a dream, tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes our yesterdays dreams of happiness, and our tomorrows visions of hope. Let us look well, therefore, to this day. Would all of you please join with me in the opening hymn, Morning So Fair to See, number 42, standing as you are able and inclined. It is now our story for all ages, but in particular for the youngest among us or those who are young at heart. You are cordially invited, the 3, 4 of you, to come forward. It's not quite as comfortable as a rug, but it's for a story for you. I think we'll be fine on the floor. And any adult is welcome, especially if accompanied by a child. And I'm so pleased that Maureen is with me on this service, and then she will show the pictures. First, I want to ask, do any of you like cartoons? Oh, wow. Or you know what comics are? They're, have any of you read and have you liked comics too? Well, good, because our story today is a comic. Now, I don't know if anybody has heard of Peanuts. That goes back a long way, but it's really good. One of the most wonderful characters is Snoopy. Snoopy is the dog who he's an individual, maybe a Unitarian, likes to sleep on top of the doghouse. But this story is called Snoopy's Book of Joy. And if you want to come close and really see the pictures, or Maureen will show them to you. And I better get close too with my glasses. Joy is taking a road trip with your very best friend. Have any of you been on a trip with a friend? You have. Where did you go? Do you remember? It's okay. It was fun anyway. Joy is searching for the perfect wave. Have any of you been to the beach? You have? And you know sometimes on the oceans, people ride, what do they ride? Surfboards, right? So they look for, big waves. Not me necessarily, but joy is another word for being happy. And it's trying new recipes and having them come out just right. Looks as though Snoopy's making donuts here. Does anyone like donuts? Yeah, okay. Have any of you looked out at night and just seen all the stars? It's really quite beautiful, especially if you're away camping and you see a lot more stars. Joy is reaching for the stars and following your dreams. Joy is laughing. Ha 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 ha. You've laughed at things, haven't you? I mean, when something's funny on TV or a joke. Do you like jokes? Yeah, I do too. Not always get laughs from them, but joy is making the most of a rainy day. What do you take out with you when it rains? Anybody? Yes. Umbrella, right. Or you stay inside and play games inside if you're home from school. And here's Snoopy, the dog. He's eating out of his dog plate with an umbrella over him. Joy is wondering where to go next and ending up exactly where you're supposed to be. And again, can you see Charlie Brown is kind of the main character. He doesn't always think he knows what the best thing to do, but he's really doing the right thing now. Do you see what he's doing? He's hugging Snoopy, and they both seem to enjoy that. Joy is playing your favorite sport. What kind of games do you like outside? Do you like swings and slides? Yeah. Great slide at the Bronx Zoo if you've ever been there. And rooting for the team. Yay! Yankees or whoever. Joy is taking a comfy nap. When you're really tired, sleep feels good, doesn't it? Joy is searching for a pot of gold and landing feet first. Joy is listening to others and giving a hug to a friend when they need it. Do you like to hug people you really like? Yes. Joy is celebrating life's smaller victories. And what Snoopy and Charlie Brown have here, maybe that's Linus. You know those little blocks that you can put one on top of each other and you kind of hope they don't spill? Except that my son liked to spill them. And then when something goes just right, you say, "Yay, I did it!" That is joy. Well, let's see, there's some more joy coming. Joy is always doing your best, and even when things get tough, like right now Snoopy's doing a jump rope. Have you ever done a jump rope? Yeah, double rope, in fact. Joy is calling a friend. Have any of you telephoned a friend, or maybe on your smartphone? You have. Wow. And dancing like no one's watching. Sometimes the music's so good you like to just get up and dance. But one of the most joyful moments of all is simply just being together. And that's what we are now, together. Maybe one of you knows of something that makes you happy. Do you like merry-go-rounds? Yes, and ice cream cones? And how about little dogs, playful ones? Yes. Cats? Sometimes dogs and cats actually get along, too. Anyway, you made me very happy. Thank you so much for listening to the story. And have a wonderful day on the carpet or wherever.
Our reading this morning is Happiness by Juan Olivares, who writes, I was born in Nyssa, Oregon, while my parents, who were farm workers, were picking cherries and working in the potato fields in Idaho. I grew up in Mission, Texas, and attended Mission High School, where I first attempted to write poetry. While in high school, I had 2 poems published in Focus magazine, What is War in 1972 and The Clouds in 1973. I have been in public service in my hometown of Alton, Texas, as city alderman, police commissioner, and mayor pro tem. I love to play chess, guitar, cook, and my other true love, fishing. Happiness is being home again. Happiness is walking in the rain. Happiness is walking with no pain. Happiness to see my humble home. Happiness at not being alone. Happiness to sit and not to roam.
After our meditation in words, we will observe a minute of silence. Bethany if Bethany's here, will bring out, good. Thank you, Bethany. Will bring us out of the silence with hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. If you're not familiar with it, you may wish to open it now and just leave it open on your lap. For this one, you'll be remaining seated. Let religion be to us life and joy. Let it also be a voice of renewing challenge to the best we have and may be. Let it be a call to generous action. Religion should unite us with all that is admirable in human beings everywhere, holding before our eyes a prospect of a better life for humankind, which each may help to make actual.
At each service, it is our spiritual practice to share 50% of our offering plate with a local organization working for justice and repair of the world. Our shared plate recipient for the month of December is Long Island Jobs with Justice. Working with a mostly part-time 4-person staff, Long Island Jobs with Justice is one of many scrappy underdogs putting everything it has into the workers' movement. It stands steadfast alongside unions and other worker organizations to help consolidate and expand the recent gains of the workers' movement. It also fights the most common type of theft in New York, wage theft. Bosses stealing their employees' wages extracts millions from working people every year through practices including, but not limited to, minimum wage and overtime violations, refusing to pay wages owed after illegal firing, and flat out refusing to pay for hours worked at all. As a longtime gig and contract worker, I can attest to this personally. And they advocate for legislative action, most recently the Prop 1, or New York Equal Rights Amendment, which passed earlier this month. Yay! Yay! And the historic Excluded Workers Fund, established in 2021 to cover workers excluded from receiving unemployment during the pandemic, which was quickly depleted. Please give generously in support of the fellowship and this worthwhile organization. You may make your gifts on the plate or online, and for those online, the link to donate is in the chat. The offering will now be gratefully received.
Witness to joy. Be a witness to joy. Get a clear view of the mountaintop. There's happiness on the horizon. Take a good look and you'll see, because you can be a witness to joy. Sometimes it's hard to go home when there's a storm in your heart. There's a bitter cold wreckage has torn you apart. You've been treated unkindly, misunderstood. You got paralyzed emotions, you're told turn to wood. But this time is different, there's a reason you're here. Sure as you're living, it's sure to come clear. You're a proud on over a mirror. With a pair of eyes, you seek your salvation through this disguise. You're a witness to joy. Get a clear view of the mountaintop. There's happiness on the horizon. Take a good look round and you'll see you can be a witness to joy. We can stand up in the starlight and laugh at the moon. We can rest assured the sun will rise and set on us too. But you can cast your own shadow, thin as a knife. Your original creation stays with you for life. So when you look to the heaven, when you're looking at the evening news, or you look for inspiration at the bottom of a barrel, you choose a new direction. It's yours and yours alone. Your vision is calling you closer home. Be a witness to joy. Get a clear view of the mountaintop. There's happiness on the horizon. Take a good look around and you'll see. You'll see laughing children. How can you help but feel so much hope? Oh, how can you help but feel so much joy? So much joy. How can you help but feel so much joy? So if you're standing in darkness, or just standing in a line, or just standing in front of Goliath, standing up for what is right, take time for celebration, sing out it's a jubilee. With every note you sing, you're one closer to being free. You're a witness to joy. Get a clear view of the mountain top. There's happiness on the horizon. Take a good look around and you'll see. Be a witness to joy. Yes, you can. There's happiness on the horizon. Take a good look around and you'll see. You can be a witness. You can be a witness to joy.
It's a delight to be back with you today, but it's a particular pleasure and privilege to be collaborating on this service with Maureen, who, as she has mentioned, I don't want to say how many years ago, yes I will, 45 years ago. I loved her then, I love her now. I'm so pleased and privileged to be back with her and proud of her too. But I did not know until this morning what a beautiful lyrical singing voice she has. Oh. And my thanks to all of the musicianship this morning, which has been really a true inspiration. Ron, Dee Dee, our pianist. You may have noticed, or maybe not, that there was a lot of careful work with the microphone this morning, and I think successful. But I remember, or I'm reminded of the case where it wasn't necessarily so successful. An Episcopal priest was testing the sound system before the service, getting a little frustrated. So he rapped on the mic and said, now, I should say, you may know in the Episcopal liturgy, the officiant says, "The Lord be with you." And the congregation responds, "And also with you." So he said, "I think there is something wrong with this microphone." The congregation answered, "And also with you." Some years back, in fact, when we were both in Duluth, Minnesota, and it feels a titch like Duluth outside today at Stony Brook, I was visiting a woman in a nursing home, a member of the congregation I was then serving, but not somebody I had met. She was not ambulatory. I've tended to find nursing homes very unpleasant. I guess that's not an uncommon reaction. This one was clearly not one of the worst. It at least did not have a pervasive stench of urine about it. There was space for people to move around. Daylight streamed through the windows. I introduced myself to the elderly woman I was visiting. She seemed totally uncomprehending, maybe hard of hearing, maybe without adequate hearing aids. I spoke up, attempted to make polite small talk, and she continued to be completely unresponsive and seemingly confused. She may not have had the faintest idea who I was or why I was there, and why should she? Eventually, a sprightly girl, maybe 8 or 9 years old, appeared, perhaps of Asian American extraction. I believe this girl's duties were distributing newspapers to certain residents. The girl put her hands gently on this woman's knees and said with a lot of spunk, "Hello, Miss Fredericks." The elderly woman smiled for the first time in my visit, but the expression was more than a smile. She displayed a sudden radiance that seemed to fill her entire being. It was as though the sun had risen in her soul. I've rarely witnessed such a sudden and dramatic transformation of mood in the direction of happiness in another human being. When it comes to bringing joy, maybe a sweet child is impossible to match, let alone surpass. Or maybe that sweet child understood what many older than she did not, that just with a kind, affectionate greeting, untold happiness can be brought to somebody else. So what is happiness? Maybe the answer is not unlike what Louis Armstrong said when someone asked him, "What is jazz?" If you have to ask what jazz is, he answered, "You'll never know." And by the way, I hear the recent play on Louis Armstrong is very good on Broadway. Or as the British poet A.E. Housman, when asked to define poetry, said, "I can no more define poetry than a terrier can define a rat." Perhaps happiness is experiential, and the experience transcends even the best attempts to express what it is in words. And yet we human beings know, I hope most of us, it would be wonderful if it were all of us, what happiness is, from infancy to one's last moments. And Charles Schulz, who has made an appearance already this morning with Snoopy, said, in fact, in that classic book that I couldn't find at Barnes & Noble, it's too classic, "Happiness is a warm puppy." And that's been my experience. When my daughter Rachel was maybe 5 years old, a caretaker agreed to bring her soft, black, silken puppy, I remember its name, Mindy, over. Rachel could hold it in the palm of her hands, and she needed no other entertainment the rest of the day, and has been a dog lover ever since, just obtaining, I gather, a new rescue dog, whatever it is. I was told by an archaeology professor that dogs have been proverbial best friends to human beings since prehistory. Skeletal remains of human beings have literally been unearthed right next to those of dogs. Something else about happiness that we so often take for granted, and it was in the poetic reading that Maureen read, happiness is being free. You cannot be happy if you're in handcuffs, physically or spiritually. I remember my first sense of great freedom when I engaged in that extremely important rite of passage, namely leaving home for college. My family of upbringing was not abusive physically by any stretch of the imagination, but the atmosphere seemed to me unnecessarily tense and the authority exercised arbitrarily a lot of the time. Now, maybe that was because I was a rebellious teenager. But getting to college and having the entire week free, 24/7, that was ecstasy. On a more extreme note, not for nothing are those eloquent and iconic words in the Declaration of Independence: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are our inalienable rights. And yet, as we know now, the author of those words, the third President of the United States, a Unitarian, Thomas Jefferson, denied liberty and the pursuit of happiness to people working for him and living at his estate in Monticello. Thomas Jefferson owned over 600 slaves during the course of his lifetime and didn't even release them as George Washington did with his at the time of his death. And he had children by one of them, all of whom he nonetheless kept in slavery. And that participation in slaveholding can't be written off with the explanation that he was just a product of his time. There were slavery abolitionists during Thomas Jefferson's lifetime, including quite a number of Quakers from Philadelphia, the Universalist physician Benjamin Rush, Alexander Hamilton, Benjamin Franklin, Methodist John Wesley. They knew that the slave trade was a horrible stain on the American experience and at contradictory odds with our lofty belief in republicanism and democracy. But it's still difficult to imagine the feelings of someone who once was in slavery and suddenly becomes freed. Listen to these words of Harriet Tubman when she arrived in Pennsylvania, her first time in a part of the country that had abolished slavery. After her harrowing escape, even with an injury that a slaveholder had caused her that was lifelong, she says, "When I crossed the line, I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. There was such a glory over everything. The sun came like gold through the trees and over the fields, and I felt like I was in heaven." There's a very good movie about Harriet Tubman. Some of you may have seen it. And a new National Book Award winning book about her entitled Night Flyer. She's one of the bravest people, I think, who ever lived. She eventually liberated over 70 people from slavery. Liberty is essential to the pursuit of happiness. So, of course, are adequate food, clothing, shelter, health care. Let's face it, a certain amount of money can buy happiness, or at least the preconditions for happiness. But for those of us who have the blessings of life necessities being met, what else goes into the pursuit of happiness? Some people, you may have met them, give the appearance of not being happy about anything. Maybe they're 14 years old, maybe they're older. Remember Gaston in the Broadway musical Gigi, and his favorite 3 words in response to his enthusiastic uncle, played by Maurice Chevalier? The 3 words being, "It's a bore." What about Paris in the spring, when each solitary thing is more beautiful than ever before? What color are the trees? What color were they last year? Green. What color will they be next year? Green. Oh, what a bore. And Gaston concludes, it's the same damned world wherever you go, whatever place you are at. The earth may be round, but everything on it is flat. Some people, though, like Gaston, may secretly be happy with their own unhappiness and get a great kick out of how other people are brought up short. And I must concede that a little bit of wryness, a little bit of edgy wit, a little bit of out-and-out negativity can add zest to life, just as a little bit of garlic can add to pasta. George Bernard Shaw, Dorothy Parker, and Stephen Colbert all realize that. But many of us, I would guess most of us, generally do not want to be unhappy and do not wish unhappiness on people we care about. They, like Aristotle, consider happiness a proverbial bottom line. Or I've always hearkened to the line since I read them of Robert Burns. If happiness has not her seat and center in the breast, we may be wise or rich or great, but never can be blessed. And I remember when Howard Hughes was consenting to one of his rare interviews, he was then the richest man, or one of them, in the world. There was no Elon Musk then. He confessed that he was not a happy man. And we have to acknowledge unhappiness happens. It's part of life. And in some situations, it would be odd if it didn't happen. After the death of someone you love dearly, after a major disappointment in life, whether it be a job loss, the end of a relationship, there's no reason to expect yourself to be jubilant right away. But part of a happy life is the ability to rebound from setbacks eventually, even from tragedies, however long that may take. It took me a while, for example, after the death of my son, to realize he would not want me to live an unhappy life out of respect for him. He would not want me or others who cared about him not to know joy and laughter. A death as harsh as it can be and unforgettable as it is should never mean the death of hope or the death of happiness. Now, I want to make an important distinction at this point. There is a difference between unhappiness and serious depression. Deep or clinical depression, which afflicts millions of people in this country, is out of my lane. It's quite properly in the province of mental health specialists. And I can only say thank goodness for medications, for other specialized therapies, and for devoted psychiatric care. It's also gratifying that some who have suffered from it, like novelist William Styron, author of Sophie's Choice, not only have been able to recover, but in his case, give presentations to show audiences that it is possible for any who are listening to emerge from the dark pits to emotional sunshine. But for those of us not afflicted with clinical depression, there are still experiences of unhappiness. How do we emerge from them? How do we develop happier lives? We are diverse human beings and have diverse sources of unhappiness and happiness. One size does not fit all. But I will mention a few predicaments, and I will also mention that it is possible to overcome unhappiness. We shall overcome, and have, many of us. And I'm also indebted to Maureen for recommending some source materials, and one of them is Gretchen Rubin's Happiness Project. She spent a year working on being happier, and it was a successful year. One of the more common sources of emotional discomfort is inadequacy or feelings thereof. I keep referring to Peanuts and Charles Schulz, and one of his strips has Lucy saying to Charlie Brown, "You know, Charlie Brown, on the great cruise ship of life, some people have their folding chairs facing forward to see the water yet to be traversed. Others have their folding chairs facing backwards to seeing what has already been accomplished. Which direction is your folding chair facing, Charlie Brown, on the great cruise ship of life?" Charlie Brown looks perplexed, which he's good at looking, and then he slowly answers, "I suppose on the great cruise ship of life, I'm one of those who never could get his folding chair unfolded." I've been there. Many of us beat ourselves up when we don't master this or that skill, perhaps related to the computer, and we don't have an 8-year-old handy to answer correctly our questions in a matter of split seconds sometimes. I, at the age of 8, was determined to be another Mozart. I loved Mozart already, thanks to my father's indoctrination. And then I learned that he had composed his first trio at the age of 5, so I had some catching up to do. And then, by the time he was 11, that he had written his first opera. So I was frantic. I'll never give up. I remember someone telling the joke, "Don't worry, Mozart didn't start composing until he was 53 years old. 53 years old, he was dead at age 35. Oh, I'm talking about Gus Mozart up the street. I was a gas station attendant. But the idea that we should all be competent in every area is an all too common psychological myth or number that we play on ourselves. We're not going to be equally capable at the challenges life offers, whether it's changing a tire or making a dinner party or playing bridge or speaking a foreign language. It's all something that depends on one's inclinations, abilities, and let's face it, we're not all, in Garrison Keillor's words, above average. But we can do better than we did last year. And by being patient with oneself, being appreciative of progress one makes, and most importantly, enjoying the pursuit, we still can be satisfied with life. Second, we need to know ourselves, as Socrates told us, and yet, something counterintuitive, to pursue happiness, we need often to be involved in something other than ourselves, whether it be music or birdwatching or Victorian novels or helping homeless and hungry people. By losing yourself in a meaningful activity, ironically, you find yourself. And that is a source of great satisfaction and even exhilaration. And that can be despite previous setbacks of a major sort. My late brother-in-law was a victim of polio when he was 16 months old. That did not stop him from becoming an architect, working for the state of California, making contributions to the Americans with Disabilities Act, eventually being consulted by government representatives and architects all over the world about ways to make buildings more accessible. And beyond that, even on a ventilator, even unable to leave his bedroom for 5 or 6 years, he was an extremely friendly, happy person. Another friend whose severe psoriatic arthritis, combined tragically with an automobile accident, fractured her leg and has been in a wheelchair for over 30 years, nonetheless became the music director at her local Unitarian Universalist congregation and started a symphony orchestra in the community. Part of the pursuit of happiness in life is, in short, not being immobilized by major setbacks. They're going to happen. Like disheartening election results, for instance, becomes all the more important to light a candle, figuratively, and in some way, shape, or form, make this world a better place. And third, we must never overlook self-care, R&R, rest and relaxation, when we are in unhappy or blah states of being. We should know what will elevate our spirits or soothe us. For me, music uplifts the soul like little else. I wondered if we were going to start dancing an Irish jig at the opening music today. But from Bach to the Beatles, so much music has blessed us. And I'm smitten with magnificent scenery, including the beautiful view in back of this building. Andrea and I are fortunate to live an 8-minute walk in Port Washington from Manhasset Bay, and it's a spiritual discipline for me to walk over there at sunset time. And we also we have a place in Riverhead, and it's very similar. A short walk to an equally spectacular view of Long Island Sound. From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this natural environment and its glories was made for you and me. I'm also in love with learning about new places, about their history and their culture, and I love reading. There isn't enough space on my bookshelf, so the office will not pass a Martha Stewart test. And I've found friendships over the years, such a gift, including with Maureen. I'm blessed to have as my best friend my wife, Andrea, who may be watching. The poet Yeats said, "Think where one's glory most begins and ends, and say my glory was to have had such friends." But friend or any person with whom you feel comfortable, whom you trust, with whom you find conversation and companionship enjoyable, perhaps with whom you have some inside jokes, it's one of life's greatest rewards. I believe that part of being happy is making someone else happy. It might be bringing a child to the beach. It might be calling on a person who is housebound. It might be sending a birthday card. Bertrand Russell said in his book, Conquest of Happiness, develop a friendly interest in people and things. And I appreciate what a friend of my wife's also said. Have something to which to look forward every day. So during the pending holiday season and beyond, I wish for each of you tidings of comfort and joy and much reward in your own pursuits of happiness in the days and weeks and months ahead. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's turn to our closing hymn. If you would please rise in body or spirit and join in hymn number 327, Joy Thou Goddess, which happens to be to the tune of Beethoven's Ode to Joy.
Our closing words are by Darcy Roque. There is too much hardship in this world to not find joy every day. There is too much injustice in this world to not right the balance every day. There is too much pain in this world to not heal every day. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Let us go forth now and do that which calls us to make this world more loving, more compassionate, and more filled with the grace of divine presence every day. I invite everyone here in the sanctuary to wave and say goodbye to the folks at home. Bye.
Let us go out in joy and be led back in peace. The mountains and the hills before us should burst into song, often with autumn color, later perhaps with glistening snow, and the trees of the fields shall clasp their hands. Amen.
So, got some mic here. Oh, here we go. Going to conclude the service with what I would call the alternate hymn of Joy to the World by Three Dog Night, singing the Hoyt Axton song. I think you all know the words, but in case you forgot, in the chorus, joy to the world, all the boys and girls now, joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea, joy to you and me. If so, please join me on that, and also if you know the verse. And on the chorus where it says joy to the world, and I sung, you can hit that high note on the second line, joy to the world, oh, please try. All right. Jeremiah was a bullfrog, was a good friend of mine. I never understood a single word he said, but I helped him drink his wine. And he always had a very fine wine, singing joy to the world. Oh, the boys and girls now, joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea, joy to you and me. And if I were the king of the world, I'd tell you what I'd do. I'd throw away the cars and the bars and the wars and make sweet love to you. Yeah, make sweet love to you. Sing it now, joy to the world. All the boys and girls now, joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea, joy to you and me. You know I love the ladies, I love to have my fun. I'm a high night flyer and a rainbow rider, a straight shooting son of a gun. I said a straight shooting son of a gun. Sing it now, joy to the world. All the boys and girls, joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea, joy to you and me. Last time around, joy to the world. All the boys and girls, joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea, joy to you and me. Joy to the fishes and the deep blue sea. Joy to you and Big Rock finish. Me.
Good morning, everyone. Just two quick announcements. Number one, if you are new here today, you are so lucky because today is Super Sunday, which means we have a lot of food. So once a month for new people. We do this Super Sunday. There's going to be a lot of food for us. We're going to need to set it up in the back. So if people can move up front while we're setting that up, that would be really helpful. It'll take us a few minutes. And then if you're attending the town hall, that'll start about 12:15-ish. If you're doing it online, please join through the small group chats link. Oh, yes. And please stay clear of the kitchen door, which will allow us